A cold one. It is also a little bit misty and wet. And so we are going to have Becca Birdsall talk about the weather. Melissa, also a concern, Hurricane Melissa, after making landfall on Jamaica. Want to show you, is this live, Carlene?
This is Montego Bay.
Montego Bay. So, wow, they hit some damage. I mean, I've got friends from Jamaica. I was checking in on.
Have you checked in with them?
Checking in on them. My one from high school in particular, he said that his family's okay in Jamaica.
Great.
He's in Florida. So he's okay. But just, you can't prepare enough, and especially when already the infrastructure is kind of poor and dealing with rugged terrain. It's really tough out there. So making a second landfall on the eastern part of Cuba as a strong Cat 3, I believe, was the last report. Becca Birdsall is here. Hey, Becca, I know you just walked in here, so you're getting your bearings a little bit on today's weather. I thought the rain was going to be gone, but
one more round.
Oh.
One more round to get through. This morning was dry.
Oh,
We have another
okay.
round coming this afternoon, evening. We'll clear out by early Thursday, and then Thursday we'll start to see sunshine break out finally after a week of dreary weather. So today is day 3. of
day
just
3.
Gray and gloomy conditions. I will say my naps have not been better.
Oh, I
Really?
bet.
Yes.
It is
So
good napping
it
weather,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah. Great napping weather. But we've certainly been busy, like you mentioned, with Hurricane Melissa. I think it's going to take a couple of days to really see all
Right.
of the damage and like just the true depth of what this storm really caused, especially on the southwestern coast of Jamaica, where they did have that direct hit. Landslides can be expected over there, and just long-lived power outages. Truly the worst case scenario. So like Jane mentioned, it did make a second landfall early this morning. We have that newest advisory 3:10 this morning on the eastern coast of Cuba. Winds sustained at 120 miles per hour. That is a Category 3 hurricane, and has the chance to now make landfall potentially for the third time as it now eyes the southeastern portion of the Bahamas. So the newest advisory, 8 o'clock, we got sustained winds now at 105 miles per hour. So this is a Category 2 hurricane expected to cause extensive damage across, again, the southeastern portion of the Bahamas. So it's still over Cuba right now. We'll continue to track up to the north and east, likely having the potential to make some sort of landfall going towards probably tonight through early tomorrow morning, and then we'll continue to push into the north and east out into the open Atlantic, where it then will probably brush Bermuda. But this is going to stay still well off the east coast and really just bring catastrophic impacts to the Caribbean. So temperatures outside now, it is just cold and chilly, 48 degrees in Charlotte, but we're up to 39 in Boone. We've got clouds, areas of drizzle and mist. I keep saying this. Yes, I am making up a new word this morning. So areas of drizzle and mist, that's what we can expect on and off throughout the morning hours. There's certainly a wind chill as well, with breezy winds anywhere from 15 to upwards of 20 miles per hour at times. So Doppler radar, sometimes it's hard to pick up the drizzle out there. So if you notice, if you have that WCNC app and you're looking at the radar, it may not be raining directly on you. That is actually because the radar isn't picking up on the drizzle because it's so low in the atmosphere. So just be aware of that as you head outdoors. It is wet, it's cool. High temperatures today likely in the lower to middle 50s. So this feels more like a late December day. Winds today will be gusty once again. Yesterday we had quite the wind chill. Today winds won't be nearly as breezy. Still though, gusts anywhere from 20 to upwards of 25 miles per hour at times. Now here's what we got going on in terms of rain chances. We got them for the rest of today, especially ramping up this afternoon and evening. But by the time we get tomorrow, with the exception of the high country, all of us will dry out. Now the October rainfall a few days ago, this time last week, we had a few hundredths of an inch so far for this entire month, with the average close to around 3. Now, as we start to end out the final days of October, so far we have picked up a little bit over 1.5 inches. So we're still down about half, but this was certainly beneficial rain. We saw minimal flooding impacts. This was best case scenario for us. So we'll dry off by Thursday, and hey, a really nice weekend ahead. So yes, we got a couple of showers again today, but this will really ramp up. Let's go into that future cast. Time this out for you. This is 3 o'clock. A little bit more widespread, especially west of 77, mountains, foothills, all the way over towards Cleveland County, Gaston County, Lincoln, to also over towards Hickory and Statesville, becoming a little bit more prominent across the greater Charlotte area Wednesday evening and night. This is 11 o'clock. Few rumbles of thunder possible, some pockets of heavy rain embedded with the system. But by Thursday morning, 7 o'clock, a lot of that has already cleared up, with the exception of the mountains, who will have a little bit of on and off rainfall activity. Everywhere else will be dry for your Thursday. We'll see lots of sunshine break out, and it will feel like a true fall day. Halloween weekend is looking fantastic. Sunshine will prevail Friday all the way through Sunday, with high temperatures lower to middle 60s. Not only that, but the morning temperatures will get down into the upper 30s to lower 40s, especially by the time you wake up Saturday morning. It is going to be quite chilly out there, with most of us down into the 30s. So Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Today is our last dreary day that we have to get through before lots of improvement in the forecast. We will be ending out the last couple of days of October with really comfortable conditions. Should be fantastic for those trick-or-treaters. And then this continues into the weekend as well. So any fall plans, certainly keep them. We'll also be looking at a nice warm-up potentially next Monday, close to 70 degrees. So yesterday, we had a high of 52 that actually felt more like an early January day. We'll finally start to get a little bit closer to average as we go into next week.
It's just so gloomy. But
So gloomy.
happy
Yes.
sleeping.
It's
happy napping.
nice when you're inside. It's not
Yes.
nice when you have to venture out. And I did have to turn on my heat
Wow.
for the first time because my upstairs got down to 63 degrees, and I couldn't do it.
That's too cold.
It was freezing.
Too cold. I know. It's flannels.
Yes.
Flannels, cozy socks.
Yes.
Ugg boots. Inside. Yeah, that's
like
the
it.
kind of weather we're looking at.
Yes.
All right, but sunshine returns tomorrow.
Yep.
Take
Looking
it.
forward to it.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. And let's take a little sunny break, shall we? You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Want to take you right now live, dip into a virtual press conference happening with Novant Health. This is Dr. Priest. He is talking about the first tuberculosis case reported by CMS at North Mech High School. Let's go ahead and listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Typing, or I will read it once you finish typing, whichever is easier.
No worries. I can come off mute. Thank you so much. We were just curious if there are any safety measures that schools or parents should be taking. I know you said it's kind of like since it's not as contagious as like the flu or COVID, it's not that much you can necessarily do, but are you thinking of any, because it is now in a school system, so it could spread. So are there ways that parents, families could be better preparing their kids to go to school and kind of protect themselves?
Yeah, I'd say this is not something that the average parent or student needs to worry too much about. And that's really because our public health system does such a great job of finding cases, isolating that individual, meaning they stay at home, starting them on the appropriate antibiotics until they're not contagious anymore, and then allowing them to go back into society. So it's one of the benefits of having a public health system that focuses on this, is that they protect us, and we don't even know we're being protected from things like this. So parents have a lot to worry about in today's world, and I would say this is way down on the list. Now, certainly, if you're contacted and you say your child's been exposed to this, you want to do everything that you need to do from a public health standpoint, and they'll guide you through that. But this is not something I would be overly concerned about in any given day. And also know, as individuals enter the United States, immigrants come to our country, we're a country of immigrants, right? The State Department has a program that people are screened for TB before they come to the country, which is another way of keeping the numbers of cases down in the United States, which is why in this country, we have 8,000 to 10,000 cases a year, whereas other parts of the world have many more than that, hundreds of thousands or even millions of cases worldwide. Is because the programs we have in place to protect the public. So we benefit from that, and so I think parents can rest assured in that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Great. If not, we will wrap this up. And I mentioned this in the chat. I will send a copy of this recording out to all media and let you guys have a copy of the transcript and the recording. I'll give one more call for questions, and then I will let Dr. Priest go about his day. But thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Priest, especially for sharing all of your wisdom about tuberculosis.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And that was a live press conference, a virtual meeting there held by Novant Health, talking about the impacts and what is happening after CMS reported its first case, confirming a first case of tuberculosis at North Mech. You can catch this completely from the beginning, by the way, since we kind of dipped in there towards the middle end of the live presser. You can catch that here on our YouTube channel or right here on the WCNC app or the website WCNC.com. Our digital team's going to cut this, clip it, and post it for you if you need that reference. Want to switch gears right now here at 9:14 because here in Charlotte, the Charlotte-based organization, nonprofit Camino, is launching North Carolina's first ever peer support specialist certification training that's offered entirely in Spanish. A need here that is definitely feeling the impacts in the Spanish-speaking community, and it comes as the state faces a critical shortage of bilingual behavioral health professionals as the Latino community is experiencing increased mental health needs. So, joining me here in studio right now, let's give us a warm welcome to David Villanueva. Buenos dias, David. How are you?
Hola, buenos dias. I'm doing well, thank you.
Hola,
Thank
hola.
you for having us here.
Oh, absolutely. So let me get my notes out here because that sounds kind of alarming, right? That there is a need, that need for mental health for the Spanish-speaking Latino community is increasing, one. And number two, that we need more mental health professionals that are capable of helping the community. Tell us about the need first in this community.
Yes, so great question, and thank you. One of the things that we do know is happening here in our state or in North Carolina is the Latino population is growing at one of the fastest rates around the country.
Right.
Multiple reports from NCDHHS, NC Department of Health and Human Services,
Right.
also with a study run through Camino, through our research institute, a strength and needs assessment that was done of the Latino community in North Carolina, has indicated that there is a growing concern over mental health challenges and issues. And there's also one of the barriers for individuals that are seeking help is the lack of bilingual, or more specifically Spanish-speaking providers in our communities.
All right, so let's talk about what is offered there at Camino anyway for helping individuals with their mental health needs.
Okay, so through Camino, specifically dealing with mental health, we do offer services geared, under the umbrella of therapy and counseling. We also offer pastoral counseling. And one of the additional services where I work is we do offer peer support.
Oh, okay, very good. And then, so what does peer support look like? And what are people coming in with their needs?
Okay, so peer support is on a most basic, simple level, is individuals with lived experience facing a mental health challenge and or substance use disorder who help other people navigate these same types of challenges or experiences that they're living with. A peer support specialist, so we can define that.
Yeah.
A certified peer support specialist is an individual in the state of North Carolina who has met the requirements for certification. To become a peer support specialist in our state, you do need to have be in recovery and have lived experience with a mental health challenge and or a substance use disorder. And you use that experience to connect with other individuals and then to offer assistance and, like we said, to navigate these challenges and the improvement of their overall mental health.
Isn't that so important, is to have someone that is able to relate with the experience of people who are struggling these days and be able to walk with them and meet them where they are because you've already walked that walk too, right?
Yeah, definitely, exactly. Lived experience, as maybe through your own personal life and experiences, allows you to connect with other individuals in a way that you can't do it through schooling, through any kind of education or training.
Sure.
Lived experience is unique. It allows an individual to build a relationship with someone else through that common understanding.
So let's talk about the actual certification training, because now we know that program is there for you, peer support at Camino, but also the training. If you can offer yourself and give back, what does this training look like?
Okay, so the training that we have through Camino, A Path to Recovery, in Spanish, Un Camino a la Recuperación, meets the requirement. It's a 50-hour course that meets the requirements of North Carolina to obtain your certification in the state. Training is a 5-day class. It is 50 hours. 40 of those hours are spent in the classroom setting through one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but in the classroom setting with a live instructor. The other 10 hours are composed of some pre-work and homework that individuals would have to do. The class itself as a whole is built on the concept that there is no right way or wrong way to recover. We have to define what recovery is.
Right.
Recovery is an individualized, personalized journey of transformation and healing. The other definition that we use is the one from SAMHSA, which is that recovery is a process of change where an individual improves their health and well-being, lives a self-directed life, and strives to reach their full potential.
Fantastic.
So using this definition, we see that individuals can be in recovery for a multitude of challenges that they may be facing. Our course specifically educates individuals on the concepts of peer support, on what recovery is and isn't. It teaches individuals how to build healthy relationships in all aspects or all parts of their life. And then we do cover things of how do we deal and assist people who may have experienced trauma in the past. We identify recovery tools. It's all evidence-based practices,
Right.
right? The
Yeah.
book is built on evidence-based practice, so we know that the tools and the methods that we're using in our course have been proven to work. And peer support in itself is an evidence-based treatment model. We understand that,
works.
yes, it works. When individuals engage with a peer support specialist as part of their recovery journey, the chances of long-term or sustained recovery greatly increase. So individuals that come to our class, it's a 5-day training. We go through the process. Because it is geared in Spanish, and since we've identified the need that we do need more Spanish-speaking providers, and specifically mental health providers in our community, it provides a track where individuals who want to assist others or maybe start work in that mental health field and profession have access now.
It's good.
I want to make it clear that it is not for only Latino individuals, but for Spanish speaking, anyone from
Oh.
any culture or background, as long as
You can
you
speak Spanish.
you learn how to provide peer support. You learn the peer support concepts in Spanish and how to deliver peer support to the Spanish speaking community.
Oh, muy bien. If my Spanish was better,
Gracias.
I'd be,
Lo podemos practicar. si
I
quieres.
know, necesito practicar as well. So, David, how do people get involved and get more information?
They can contact me directly. The best way to contact me is through my email. My full name is David Villanueva. My email is David, DAVID, @camino.org.
Perfecto. Perfecto. David. Señor, excelente. That was well done. Thank you very much, and really shining a light on something that's needed, but that is also offered to both the recipient and the peer support specialist and our future peer support specialists who are bilingual. A great service that you guys provide. So thank you for coming in and talking about
Thank you
that.
for having us.
Appreciate that. David Villanueva, reach out to him or Camino if you want more information. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We have another special interview coming up here, more on the health front as well. All right, so we'll talk about that in 2 minutes. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Like I promised you, another health topic. This time, we are going to stay with the upper level and talk about our teeth and our mouth, okay? Because online conversation is buzzing about a surprising trend when it comes to reshaping your smile. The comeback of metal braces. Who would have thought? What was considered old school has become the new cool for kids and adults alike. Here to help us understand this trend and some of the other options you might want to be thinking about is orthodontist Dr. Farah Carr. Doctor, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Carr, what is driving this resurgence of metal braces? I remember when I was in middle and high school, you saw someone with metal braces. It was, it definitely gave food for fodder for making fun of your fellow classmates, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of what has been driving this is social media. I think back to when I had braces in the 80s. I think getting my colors changed every month was pretty much the one thing that got me through treatment. So being able to personalize that for some of our patients is really special. And then also, I think for some of our adult patients, it's a little nostalgic. But as a mom and as an orthodontist, when my patients, come to me, and I think it's so important to sit down and educate them on all the tools that we now have available to us. We want to make an educated decision that's based on facts and not just following a trend.
Exactly. So how much of this trend is driven by social media versus the actual benefits?
I mean, I think what we're seeing is that, with social media, influences so many things. It definitely has started a lot of the discussion around traditional braces. But again, when my patients come to me for a consultation, we go over all the pros and cons, right, of having traditional braces. For example, we know that with traditional braces, you're going to have a lot more bleeding, a lot more gingival bleeding, a lot more gingival inflammation, a lot more plaque accumulation. That was a recent study that came out by the NIH, the National Institute of Health. I mean, we've been seeing that in the clinic for years. It's so nice to have the research back that as well. Also, because of the changes in technology with Invisalign clear aligners, we're now able to treat all the same cases, the complex cases that we typically could only do with traditional braces. For example, overbite, crossbite, deep bite, a lot, severe spacing or crowding. And so we're able to do this in a very effective way, but also in a very convenient way. And our patients really value that. They want the convenience, they want comfortable treatment. They want treatment that is also going to be faster. We know that the NIH also showed that Invisalign treatment is typically only 18 months, where the same treatment type would be 2 years with traditional braces. And so they're able to do this with so much more comfort and a lot less oral irritation. And our families, our adult patients, our young patients really value that. And it's just about sitting down and really being informed.
Yeah, it's funny because my niece, who is a teenager, 13 years old, she insisted on keeping her metal braces on a little bit longer than prescribed, which I found a little bizarre. But you mentioned aligners. I, as an adult, also used them years ago when they were kind of first coming onto the scene. And like you said, they've come a long way as well, in that convenience of, taking them off and just the speed of it all. Where and how do you recommend metal braces over, these clear aligners, or vice versa?
I mean, I would say that it's so important to know the responsibility that goes with orthodontic treatment. I've always been really surprised by this idea that somehow having braces put on requires less responsibility. It actually requires a lot more responsibility because you're attracting a lot of bacteria and plaque to your teeth. So making sure that you're spending that time to properly clean your teeth can really save you from scarring your enamel once those braces come off. And unfortunately, we see that. With Invisalign, it's a removable tool, so you're able to take it off and clean your teeth like you typically would. So you don't need a lot of the special gadgets that you typically need with braces. You just brush and floss like you normally would. And so that's been really helpful for our patients. I want to make sure that my patients know the responsibility that comes with these tools so that when they're done with treatment, it's successful for them and that they're able to maintain their oral health for the rest of their life, right? So it's really just about being informed.
All right. Good messages this morning. Great information. Dr. Farah-Carr, thanks as we talk about teeth health and, got to have that great smile and work on it. But it doesn't have to be hard.
Oh, it's so important. And no, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be painful. And if you do want to get some more information, I recommend that everyone goes to Invisalign.com/find a doctor and get that consultation so that you know what your options are.
Dr. Farah-Carr, thanks for joining us here this morning on Live Impact News.
Thank you for having me.
And just after 9:30, let's take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Be back in 2 minutes. All right, time right now, 9:33 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are going to talk about the federal government shutdown entering day 29 now, second longest shutdown, and it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. Part of the impacts to many families and Americans is the loss of SNAP benefits. That would come this Saturday if a deal is not reached. And North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson now involved suing the USDA over SNAP funding. He actually talked to our Nick Sturdivant yesterday here on WCNC Plus. Let's play this interview for you here on the Plus right now.
Speaking of SNAP benefits, today, and Carlene, we probably had a press conference here on Live Impact News, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we had a press conference with North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson announcing a lawsuit against the Trump administration over SNAP benefits. Now, North Carolina and more than 20 other states are suing the Trump administration for pausing federal funding of SNAP benefits, impacting so many people. We want to bring in Attorney General Jeff Jackson here on the program. Attorney General Jackson, thank you for your time.
You got it. Good to see you.
Good to see you too again. Can you just explain, I give a rundown of this lawsuit, but can you explain the decision to be a part of this lawsuit?
Was not a hard decision. This is a lot of money. It's going to really hurt the state. 1.4 million North Carolinians rely on this program for food to eat, including 600,000 children and about 40,000 babies. So the consequences here would be severe. And the legal case is pretty straightforward. The Department of Agriculture, which runs the SNAP program, they have an emergency fund. It's $6 billion. Congress gave them this money to make sure that there was never an interruption in SNAP services because of the consequences. And the department is basically just choosing not to use their emergency fund. They've used it in the past. There's never been an interruption of SNAP services before. They told us when the shutdown began that they had this fund that they could use if they needed to, and now they've basically just willfully decided not to. That is against the law. If Congress gives a department money, the department can't just refuse to fund a program, so we're taking them to court.
Well, as you mentioned, you said the department, USDA, basically said we're not going to use these funds for SNAP benefits. Did they say specifically why? I know you said they just willfully chose not to, but did they specifically say why they're not going to do that and where that money would go toward instead?
Well, they reversed themselves on their explanation. So about a month ago, they said this emergency money can be used for SNAP. And now they're trying to say, well, actually, we don't think it can be used for SNAP. But that's plainly not the case. This has been used for SNAP in the past. They told us a month ago that it could be. I think what is actually happening here is they've decided to play shutdown politics. They are deliberately deciding to ratchet up the pain in order to precipitate a crisis here to try and make some political maneuver.
We've been hearing stories from families, from folks at food banks, from everywhere impacted by the shutdown. What are some of the conversations you've been having with folks here in North Carolina who are impacted by this?
What I want people to understand is people have been impacted already. That is nothing compared to what will happen if this funding shutdown is allowed to go into effect. It will be a dramatic worsening of the current situation, the likes of which this country hasn't seen, frankly, in a very long time. 600,000 kids in 4 days just in North Carolina will not have enough to eat. The downstream consequences for this, for overwhelmed food pantries, overwhelmed churches, classrooms that now have far more hungry kids, teachers being asked to deal with that. I mean, this stretches into everything, and it hits in 4 days.
Well, while this plays out, I guess many folks are asking, what is the state doing to fill that gap?
There is no way to fill the gap. There is no way to remotely fill the gap. Nonprofits are going to try. They're going to scramble. Food pantries are going to scramble. But if this is allowed to go into effect, and again, we've got a lawsuit, and we're asking the court to take emergency action so this does not go into effect. But if it does, there is no way to come close to filling the gap.
One final question. You've been so generous with your time this afternoon. So you've sued the Trump administration several times, been a part of lawsuits with other states. Do you foresee any further legal actions against federal agencies if this shutdown continues and it continues to impact folks?
We're not looking to sue just to sue. I mean, they have to break the law. The reason we're suing here isn't because this is a very bad outcome. That's one reason, but it's because we have a strong legal case. If they were genuinely out of money, if this emergency fund didn't exist, we wouldn't have a legal argument to make. So going forward, our criteria for filing lawsuits will be the same as it ever is. If you hurt the state and if you've broken the law, we're going to take you to court.
Attorney General Jeff Jackson, thank you for your time once again here on Live Impact News. Thank you, and you're welcome back here as always. Thank you for your time.
You got it. Take care.
And while folks here at home deal with the shutdown, the president is in Asia. He is in South Korea this morning, set to meet with the Chinese president, making hopefully a trade deal by tomorrow with Chinese President Xi Jinping. We have Tracy Wilkins from NBC News covering the latest.
South Korea, the last stop on President Donald Trump's tour of Asia as he prepares to meet with China's President Xi. Trump is saying a new era of trade is on the horizon, offering some optimism after months of a tense trade war with China. The world is watching to see if talks between the two world leaders can cool tensions.
You know that President Xi of China is coming tomorrow here, and we're going to be, I hope, making a deal. I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both.
But in the U.S., the government is far from a deal that will end the government shutdown.
The motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
The Senate failed to advance a Republican-backed funding bill yesterday. As we enter day 29, both parties continue the blame game.
And so 42 million people are going to suffer because they're playing political games.
25 states and the District of Columbia are suing the administration to prevent SNAP food benefits from running out this week, arguing that the USDA is legally required to keep using emergency funds.
I challenge Republicans to support use of contingency funds for SNAP benefits. What Donald Trump is doing, and Republicans in Congress are supporting him, is making this shutdown as cruel and painful as possible.
This as furloughed federal workers struggle without the checks they earned.
I'm simply a federal worker trying to do a job and bring home a paycheck for my family.
My utilities come, they're due. My car note is due. My insurance is due. It's hard. My granddaughter said.
Tracy Wilkins, NBC News, Washington.
Well, military families are also being impacted here, reaching a crisis point with more than 50,000 military families requesting emergency grocery assistance in just the past 72 hours. Shannon Resident, CEO of the Military Family Advisory, joining us now with this organization really leading the largest direct response effort to try to help these families. Good morning, Shannon. Thanks for joining us here live.
Thank you for having me, Jane.
Help our viewers understand the scope of this crisis. 50,000 families. What are you hearing from some of them?
Absolutely. So what many might not realize is before the shutdown, 1 in 4 military families was experiencing food insecurity, meaning that they were not sure if they were going to have enough groceries to feed their families. And so now you have this shutdown, which has just really exacerbated this issue. For the Guard and Reserve community, they did not get the October 15th pay, and the rest of the force is really unsure of what's going to happen with the November 1st and November 15th pay. And so families are panicked, families are nervous, and we're leaning in to do everything we possibly can because we cannot stand by and wait and see what's going to happen.
So what does the program, Combat Military Hunger Program, how does that work?
We are providing a week's worth of shelf-stable grocery items for military families. It's enough for a family of 4 for 1 week. As you mentioned, in just 72 hours, we had over 50,000 eligible military families apply for support. So far, we've deployed support to around 5,000 of those families, but we have a long way to go. And so we're really counting on Americans, people who, you know, we take for granted sometimes that we live in such a great nation with a great military. And these families are having a hard time, and they're nervous about being able to feed their kiddos. And we can't stand by and watch that happen. And so we're hoping that folks will join us and donate if they can to combatmilitaryhunger.org.
What is impressive is that you are able to get this food assistance to families so quickly. I mean, 50 states, and you're able to distribute food. How are you guys able to make that happen?
We have an incredible partnership with a supply chain organization down in Houston, Texas, that is working around the clock to pack these meals. Part of our mission is understanding the needs of military families, but then also leaning in and being agile. And so we're taking this moment, we're doing everything that we can, and it's been frankly really humbling. It's been saddening, it's been infuriating that military families are struggling like they are, but we know that we can meet this need, assuming we get the support to really respond.
I mean, besides the immediate needs, food being a basic need, what are some of the other ripple effects you're seeing?
There's been a stop move order for a lot of military families, and so that puts people in a lurch. They've paid first and last month's rent in some cases in the locations where they're moving, but now they're not moving, and so they're in temporary lodging. They're paying, in a lot of cases, out of pocket for that. We're seeing DoDEA schools, the Department of Defense schools, their teachers aren't getting paid. We're seeing extracurricular activities getting canceled, and we're just seeing real uncertainty across the board. We don't know how long this is going to continue, and military families are always taught to prepare. And so they're doing what they can to prepare, and we're really doing what we can to make sure that we don't wait and see, but we provide the support that they need when they need it, which is right now.
And so looking ahead, if this shutdown continues, day 29, longest one's been 35 days, what are your biggest concerns then for families who are impacted?
Families, when they're struggling to make ends meet, it doesn't just affect them in that moment, it affects their willingness to stay and serve our country. And so people, if they cannot count on pay for putting their lives on the line, putting everything on hold for our national security, I'm concerned about what that's going to do for our retention. I'm concerned what it's going to do for our recruitment efforts. And we know that the future of our all-volunteer force is in military kids. We have to make sure that they can thrive and the whole family can thrive, and that starts with the most basic needs like groceries and housing.
What would you say to lawmakers if they were watching right now about the cost of this shutdown?
I would say this can't happen, but you know, that's for them to solve, and for us as an organization, we're focused on what we can control. And what we can control is getting this emergency grocery support to military families. We keep hearing from people, I wish there was something I could do, and the reality is there is something that you can do. And if you have the means to support, we would be so grateful, and every dollar in as groceries going directly to military families and the families who put it all on the line for each of us.
All right, one more time, Shannon, where can people go if they do want to support you financially right now?
CombatMilitaryHunger.org.
Shannon Razsadin, CEO of the Military Family Advisory Network, thank you for shining a light on a big need there for our military families that fight for our freedom. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, a break as we are going to come back in 2 minutes. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Wow, we've had already a busy first hour here on the Plus. And today is a great day because, here in WCNC Charlotte, we are counting down to the Olympics. We are just about 100 days out until the 2026 Winter Olympics, which you can watch right here on WCNC Charlotte. Nation's top athletes are aiming for a top spot on Team USA right now. Many are unaware, though, that there is an elite group of athletes, including soldiers from the U.S. Army. And they have a world-class athlete program who are serving in the country in more ways than one. One of those people is Staff Sergeant Deidre Irwin, preparing for her second Olympic appearance.
Biathlon is a super unique winter sport. It combines the endurance of Nordic skiing and the focus of precision rifle marksmanship. I started skiing when I was about 16 years old. I skied throughout high school and college, and then I skied professionally for a team out in Idaho for 2 years. And then when I was 25 years old, I picked up a rifle and started biathlon. And I loved it the second I tried it. It was so unique, so fun. I just really enjoyed every bit of it. And then in 2019 is when I joined the U.S. Army, and they helped support me to the 2022 Olympics, where I had my historic 7th place finish in the women's individual. And now I'm with the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program, and we are pursuing that podium in the 2026 Olympics. There's so many unique ways that the U.S. Army has supported me, both in the Vermont Army National Guard and with the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program. I have a competitive, salary, and I also have full-time healthcare benefits and some student loan repayment. And it's just really incredible to have that kind of weight of life taken off your shoulders a little bit so that you can really give 100% into your training and really focus on all the aspects it takes to, make it to that elite level and really pursue that Olympic podium. So the U.S. Army has, over 250 different jobs that you can pursue as a career in the U.S. Army. Everything from being an infantry soldier to being a PA, a supply sergeant. And so to be able to compete at a high level as an athlete, and then also know that when I do decide to put my rifle and my skis down, I have this really awesome U.S. Army career to fall back on. I'm a human resource specialist, so it is really incredible to know that I have that security for when I decide to retire from my sport. To learn more about becoming a soldier and being all you can be, you can go to goarmy.com.
Right now, we want to go to a live press conference in Florida, and I'll let you know right now, to be honest, it is Governor Ron DeSantis. He is talking about several topics. It seems he is at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Let's go ahead and listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Hundreds of millions of dollars on that every year. And I think it's something that's been very, very positive for a lot of people. But being able to graduate without that, I saw something, they said 70% of students from public universities across the country, once they get to 10 years, then the investment is paid off vis-a-vis people that were in high school and went into the workforce. And I'm just thinking it's taking 10 years to pay off, and then 30% it doesn't even pay off. That is not, even for public schools, which are theoretically cheaper. Florida, I think it pays off very quickly. And what we're doing with the curriculum to streamline and do all this other stuff, it's really, really positive. We also just announced we've started speech and debate up again in Florida. When I became governor, we had very little of this going on. Now all 67 counties have a program. We've got hundreds and hundreds of schools that are involved. We do a state championship every year, and this year in the spring is going to be a new college in Sarasota. But we've been able to now, for the winner, award a $50,000 scholarship. For the second place, $25,000 scholarship. Third and fourth place each get $15,000, and the remaining quarterfinalists get $10,000 scholarships. And so I think you're going to end up having 600-700 plus students that are going to be participating in that. I think Stasi Koumoutsas is going to live stream this because people want to see the kids debate, and so we're going to have that up there, and I think it'll be really, really good. So that, but just think about it, $50,000 scholarship. If you get that from most universities, it's like, okay, that pays tuition for a private university for 1 year, maybe. $50,000 in State University of Florida as a Florida resident, that pays for your tuition for 4 years and then some. You could go to graduate school and still probably, not exhaust fully, or at least part of it. So that's really generous given how affordable our university offerings are. And I was glad to be able to make that announcement earlier this week with the commissioner and with new college president Richard Corcoran. So all in all, there's a lot of great things that are happening. We want to keep the ball rolling. Don't ask me about the football stuff. It's beyond my control. I have a lot of people that are very interested in some of that, and I appreciate it because, I am too, but we're going to make sure that we continue going in a good direction. Okay, so we'll have Ben Watkins come up, and then we'll hear from some of our other folks. So, Ben.
Thank you, Governor. So how do you follow that, right? So I'm here to tell you, and this is not news to those that pay attention, Florida has the best system for higher education in the country by delivering high-quality education to students at the lowest cost to students and for Florida's families. So that's a remarkable accomplishment and something to be proud of. And Chancellor Rodriguez is going to tell you more about that. That wasn't my job. Also, Eric Soskin, when the governor asked us to do this, my friend Eric Soskin's taken the DEI ESG part, and I thought, well, what can we do to be helpful in this initiative in terms of looking at universities and how they manage themselves financially? And when we met with the rating agencies a month or so, a couple of weeks ago, to review the state, part of which is to review the state's budget and highlight the governor's budget priorities like clean water, transportation, education, including higher education, it's a really easy story to tell because of the significant state funding that the state has used to support the universities in their operations and the results delivered by the universities. It's really something to be proud of and sets Florida apart in a big way nationally. What's not talked about so much and not as well known is that Florida is also a leader in higher education reform. Florida is the first and only state, to my knowledge, to implement performance-based funding to drive results with a focus on student success like graduation rates and job placement. And the success of this approach has been remarkable. Florida universities have responded by emphasizing the importance of student outcomes to take advantage of the financial incentives provided by performance-based funding and have delivered phenomenal results. So when we did performance-based funding, when the legislature embraced it and it was implemented 10 years ago, it was going to be the end of academia as we know it in Florida. And I don't think anyone would argue today that the results have not been extraordinarily positive. So the governor's executive order provided the opportunity for us to evaluate the efficiencies and how universities operate from a financial perspective. So it's our form of DEI. It's DEI of a different flavor. It's a DeSantis efficiency initiative. And what we've done in our DOGE work is to evaluate the efficiencies of how public universities operate and prepare an efficiency study, and we'll be presenting that to the Board of Governors next week here at USF, be back. And it's not rocket science. It basically takes fundamental financial management practices and applies them to universities. We do it at the state level. It should be done at the university levels. The results under the governor's leadership in terms of the governor's financial position and how we sit today relative to other states is off the charts. And it's recognized by the rating agencies with 3 AAA ratings. And that's all a testament to the fiscal prudence and the conservative nature with which the governor and the legislature have managed the state. The efficiency study simply uses data from 3 sources: audited financial statements, student data, and personnel information from the universities to calculate ratios or performance metrics related to efficiency and productivity. The efficiency study is simply an analytical approach to reviewing university operations from a financial management perspective. It's not rocket science. It can be easily done and should be done. The efficiency study confirms a lot of what we know, which as the governor has alluded to, about the success of Florida universities and
You've been watching live a press conference from Florida, out of the University of South Florida in Tampa, with the governor, Ron DeSantis, presiding. We might go back to that, but right now we are monitoring D.C. because House Speaker Johnson and company are expected to reach the podium again, talk about the impacts from the federal government shutdown as we're approaching day 29, entering day 29 of the government shutdown that is set to start here any minute. So until then, we're going to take a break here on WCNC Plus and Live Impact News. At 10:02, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal, and House Speaker Mike Johnson, now in D.C., speaking on the federal government shutdown. Let's listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Oh, without a paycheck. You've got families and children that rely upon SNAP benefits that are going to go hungry here at the end of the week. You've got more critical workers, by the way, including the people who are the stewards of our nuclear defense arsenal, who are forced to stay at home as the government remains closed. The Democrats own every one of these consequences. So we want to point out a couple of important facts this morning for you. It's no coincidence that polling this week confirms that over 70% of the American people believe the Democratic Party is out of touch. And amazingly to us, still every day, they turn their backs on more and more hardworking American families to prolong their pain. And that is exactly what's being felt here. It is incredible to us that they've now voted 14 times between the House and Senate to reject the clean, simple funding bill that would simply reopen the government. 14 times they have thumbed their nose at the American people in spite of their pain that they themselves have acknowledged. And as we've explained here, the motivation behind that is very clear. And this is why the polling is indicating what it is. The people know the Democrats are responding to fear. It is their fear of the most radical far-left voices in their party that has made them decide to obey the demands of the far left and to shut down the entire government and thereby inflict all this pain on the people. And almost comically at this point, the Democrats are still out trying to convince you that this is somehow Republicans' fault. But the facts are the facts, and the American people can see that very clearly. They see the truth. We brought you a handy scorecard here so you can, follow the votes. I mean, this is very simple. The votes to pay the troops and federal workers and continue SNAP benefits and get air traffic controllers and Border Patrol agents paid. This is the vote tally. You see the dates here. The House did our work back on September 19th, and we voted, Republicans voted yes. Democrats voted no on all those things, and the Senate has now done it an additional 13 times. These are the votes. No one can say that this is in any way the fault of Republicans. We have a clean, simple bill, and everybody knows it. House and Senate Democrats are openly admitting that this is their shutdown. You have seen the highlight reel of all of them stumbling into admitting that. And yet they're also incoherently claiming that the shutdown is somehow on the fault of the other party. And the people aren't buying it. And that's why the polling continues to show that the approval of Republicans in Congress is rising with each passing day. And the Democrats, at the same time, Democrats in Congress have the lowest approval rating they have ever had.
All right, right now we are going to step away from House Speaker Johnson on his daily press conference from the shutdown. We want to go and take it to North Carolina and Johnston County. This is a press conference happening live right now with authorities after finding 4 children dead inside a car trunk. Sad and tragic story out of Johnston County. Let's go ahead and listen in here now on Live Impact News.
And in the trunk of that vehicle for some time. Detectives were called and a search warrant was obtained. Our investigation, folks, determined that 6-year-old Leah Dickens was the first child killed by her own father. And that death was believed to have occurred in May of 2025. Zoe Dickens, the second victim, was 9 years of age, and it is estimated that her death occurred in August of this year also. Wellington Dickens IV was his father's 3rd victim, being killed in late August or early September. The 4th victim was Dickens' stepson, Sean Brassfield, who was killed sometime in September as well. All the children in the home were apparently homeschooled. Investigators with the Johnston County Sheriff's Office, the State Bureau of Investigation, and the State Medical Examiner's Office are continuing this investigation. The bodies were removed from the trunk yesterday and are at the Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy. Wellington Delano Dickens III is charged with 4 counts of murder in the death of his daughter Leah, his daughter Zoe, his son Wellington Dickens IV, and the murder of his stepson, Sean Brassfield. He is currently in the Johnston Detention Center without bond. Investigators also learned that Wellington's wife had died on April the 21st of 2024. On this date, deputies arrived at the same address to assist EMS in a call there. Deputies determined that 37-year-old Stephanie Ray Jones was found deceased by Wellington Delano Dickens III. It was learned Miss Jones was 3 months pregnant and had experienced excessive bleeding the night prior, but refused to go for medical treatment. Investigators responded that night to the scene, continued the investigation, and it was determined Miss Jones died from the complications from a miscarriage, and doctors ruled her death as natural. This is an active and ongoing investigation with the possibility of additional charges being filed. Additional information will be released to y'all at a time that is appropriate as this investigation continues. Folks, there's no known motive at this point why Mr. Dickens murdered these children. But as the sheriff, as a father, and as a grandfather, I can stand here and say there's no reason for a father to murder his children. I do want to thank everyone that has assisted us on this case. SBI Director was on the scene yesterday morning himself. He assigned investigators at our request.
It appears that we have lost that feed. This is Carlene Bragg, your producer. So on this note, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be right back.
All right, it looks like we are back up and running with a press conference taking place in Johnston County. This is live. Let's go ahead and continue to listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
A death investigation involving children. Under the rules of professional conduct, I am limited in what I can share with you about this ongoing investigation. However, I want to speak to you today not only as the District Attorney of Johnston County, but as a father and a member of this community. My heart breaks for these children who have been subject to violence and murder, and for everyone who loves them. Over the
All right, friends, we're just going to try to see if this feed will shake loose a little bit out of Johnston County. But you can see there the breakdown of the what happened. Just a terrible situation as a father now charged with 4 counts of murder after children have been found dead inside a car trunk, and authorities saying that their bodies may have been there since May 1st. Wow. Let's get you back out to Johnston County now here on Live Impact News.
For putting the children first and our community first. As we continue to move forward, I join our entire community in mourning the loss of 4 innocent lives. The outpouring of love and support for these children has been overwhelming, and I want to assure you
All right, we will go ahead and let that one go. Go back to D.C. and House Speaker Johnson talking about the government shutdown.
Your constituents. Until Democrats recognize the pain that's gone on for so long, Republicans will be in their districts helping their constituents clean up the mess that Democrats are making and help them make ends meet and help them find the assistance, the food assistance, and all these other things that they're going to have to rely upon. And joining us this morning to discuss the Democrats' shutdown impacts on our national defense and on foreign affairs is our great chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and a decorated veteran of the U.S. Army, our good friend, Chairman Brian Mast. Brian?
Thank you, Speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything going on, it really puts an exclamation point on the fact that we have the greatest population anywhere across the globe. I do want to start just by saying thank you to all of our workers. We have workers whose lives are being very literally affected, and they're still coming to work every day. Those are really big, amazing people. That's our American workforce. So I just want to start by saying thank you to them. All of our TSA workers, all of our air traffic controllers, our ICE, our CBP, our State Department people that I deal with, and to put a point, maybe moving to State Department, because that's what I deal with the most, about the very serious stakes of what is going on right now. Not just with people's lives and them not being able to pay their bills, but with what's going on across the globe. To juxtapose these positions, we have President Trump in Asia right now, very literally trying to make sure that the United States of America is not cut off from rare earth minerals or other things, which is what China is literally trying to do. That's why there was a threat of another 100% tariff, because China was sending around letters saying, all you neighboring countries don't sell to America. So the president is abroad trying to protect our homeland. And we have Democrats here at home doing everything that they can to weaken our homeland. That's a difference of values. And the stakes of those values is the future of the greatest country on the face of this earth. We should pray that our adversaries would be stupid enough to say they're going to prioritize funding feminism in Africa over the food stamps of their own people. They're not that stupid, but apparently Hakeem Jeffries is, and that's a real problem for all of us here. I was on the phone with an ambassador this morning. I'm not going to say where, but we have requests for people to leave embassies abroad because of very real threats that are going on. The people in that embassy are right now trying to figure out if they have cash funding to get fuel for vehicles or to have diesel to put in their generators because they don't have reliable electricity in the places that they're in. Those are the real world consequences. While they're also worrying about their paycheck isn't coming in, can their family back home buy groceries, pay their bill for student loans, pay for the fuel to get their kids to school, or the tuition at their children's school, or all the other things that they have to worry about while they're worrying about can they even get out of country. So those are the difference of values. I guess I would close it by saying this. We need 5 Democrat senators to pull their heads out of their asses and go work for the United States of America.
Thank you, Chairman Mast. Thank you for your service to our country and for keeping the focus where it needs to be on making sure America stays strong in the midst of turbulent times. And, you know, what's so sad about this shutdown is that we don't need to be in these turbulent times. It was a self-imposed wound that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have imposed on the country. And if you look over this last month of the shutdown, you've seen Democrats literally playing a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde game with the American people. On one hand, they'll try to say, it's not us, it's the Republicans. Gee whiz, as the speaker talked about, oh, they control the House, Senate, and White House when they know that they are the ones that are shutting the government down. And then on the other hand, Mr. Jekyll's side, they're saying that they know that they're causing pain on the American people. They admit that there is suffering, but they're doing it for leverage. So you can't have it both ways, Chuck Schumer. You can't wake up one day and say you're going to try to blame it on the Republicans, and then on the next day, you're trying to say that, gee whiz, we know that we're causing these problems. They're admitting they're causing suffering on people, but they're doing it for leverage. And they can't even explain what that leverage is, because they just need to show their radical base that they're having a fight with Donald Trump. It's all it's been about from the beginning. You really want to know who's calling the shots in the Democrat Party? You saw it on the stage this past weekend. Bernie and AOC on the stage with the new leader of the Democrat Party, Mamdani. Maybe Chuck Schumer's waiting for Mamdani to let him know when he can open the government back up again. But families can't wait, because the real suffering is going to begin. It's already been happening, but it really hits home this weekend when SNAP benefits run out. And they know that. But I'm going to go through some of the lies, the myths, the things that they say when they know better. Chuck Schumer just yesterday said, quote, Republicans are in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House, but they're refusing to do their job. Now, Chuck Schumer's been in Congress since the 1980s. And he knows that every day he's been there, there's been a requirement that you need not 51, not a majority like we need in the House. He was in the House where you did need a majority, and then he went over to the Senate where it's always been a requirement that you need a supermajority. And in fact, when they changed the rules, it's not a standard or a custom, it's an actual Senate rule that you need 60 votes. The rule used to be higher. And in 1975, many of you might have thought Chuck Schumer voted for that rule. He came in just a few years after. In 1975 is when they lowered the threshold to 60 votes. It used to actually be a higher standard in the rules. And so every day Chuck Schumer's been in Congress, it always took more than a simple majority, in fact, 60 votes to pass these kinds of bills through the Senate. And he knows that. So you'd ask, well, why is he trying to lie and mislead the American people? When he makes a statement like that, he knows he's trying to mislead the American people. And yet on other days, he does admit he knows he's causing suffering, but he's doing it for leverage. And so this game back and forth is what the American people are sick and tired of. Hakeem Jeffries, quote, we didn't view the current bill as anything other than a partisan Republican spending bill. He knows good and well that it was a clean CR. If Democrats still to this day don't know the difference between a clean CR and partisan bills, did they stop reading the bills? Because they used to vote for these bills. Just since 2017, go look at the facts. Speaker likes talking about the facts. Facts are important here. Since 2017, 30 different CRs, 30 times CRs have moved to keep the government open. And do you know 29 of the previous times Chuck Schumer's voted yes? 29. This 30th time is the only time Chuck Schumer has voted no. And of course you'd say, well, then what's changed if he's voted? 29 out of 29 times before this, he voted for clean CRs. What's changed? This is a clean CR. What's changed is the Democrat Party has changed. Mamdani is now running the party. That party has changed. But the American people still have the same needs. The American people, again, the clean CR doesn't solve our differences. We still have big differences that we need to go negotiate, but let's just do it while the lights are on without the American people being held hostage. And of course, the final myth that's been out there for the beginning of this whole shutdown that we've debunked many times, that it's, quote, a total effing lie, that was Chuck Schumer's word, I think he actually used the word itself, that Democrats support free taxpayer-funded health care, free legals. That was Schumer saying that. And then, of course, when you read his alternative bill, his list of hostage demands, the $1.5 trillion spending bill, it includes in it a provision that repeals the verification we put in that says illegals can't get free health care. And CBO, not us. CBO said that would cost $200 billion in taxpayer health care benefits going to illegals. They know that. Of course they know it. And so why would they want to try to mislead the American people by over and over again making those statements? So here you can see it. Time and time again, the SNAP benefits comment the speaker talked about. They were warned in early October that 42 million people could be at risk in just weeks of losing their SNAP benefits if they didn't open the government. They knew that. And they want to play this game of chicken, this Jekyll and Hyde, one day trying to blame everybody but themselves, and then the other day taking ownership and admitting they're causing suffering, but they want to do it for leverage. You can't have it both ways. And more importantly, the American people are feeling the suffering. And this weekend, that suffering gets worse. And we have voted over and over again to prevent the suffering. It's not necessary. It shouldn't happen. And there's a way to avoid it. All they need to do is today, just 5 Senate Democrats need to get courage and say, we're not going to take our orders from Mondami or whoever else it is that are calling the shots over there. We're going to do the right thing and open this government back up so we can get into that negotiation over all of our differences, which are many. But just don't hold the American people hostage while that goes on. That'll bring up our whip. Tom Emmer.
The Democrats have no leader, no vision, no message. And nothing proves it more than the chaos they have caused with their needless government shutdown. We are now 29 days into this mess, and the Democrats have contradicted themselves every turn with no exit strategy in sight. They've tried to make their shutdown fight about health care, while simultaneously demanding that we cut $50 billion in rural health care and give taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. Not to mention the Americans who are suffering right now because critical health care services have been put on pause due to the Democrats' shutdown charade. On the issue of SNAP, Democrats are bending over backward to oppose Trump, using taxpayer dollars to fund frivolous lawsuits. Meanwhile, they are the ones causing people to lose their SNAP benefits by refusing to reopen the government. Remember, all of this could have been solved in a matter of 5 minutes by 5 Senate Democrats if they would do the reasonable and right thing by supporting our clean CR. The same CR that they supported just 6 months ago, and as we've said over and over, that they passed 13 times under the Biden administration. But instead, they'd rather run in circles, tripping over their own feet in the process and hanging their constituents out to dry. Why? In order to attain political leverage and score points with the radical Mamdani and Omar Fata, supporting that, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is the Mamdani of the Midwest, Omar Fata, supporting that wing of their party. Take it from the party who essentially wrote the government shutdown playbook. It doesn't work. Shutdowns achieve nothing but hurt everyone. So enough with the political games. Pass our clean CR and let's reopen the government for the people that you were elected to serve.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good to see you again. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. House Republicans did our job. Senate Democrats didn't. It's that simple. More than 1 month ago, under the leadership of Speaker Mike Johnson, the House passed responsible legislation to keep our government, your government, open. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats voted again and again to keep it shut down. So before anyone throws around cheap insults like one Democrat member did on social media this week, and I'll just read it. Lazy Mike Johnson.
And we will go back to those comments here as we need to do some business on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back in 2. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It is just after 10:30 right now. Back to the House leadership GOP presser talking about the shutdown now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Let's listen in live.
Radical cries of their base. It wasn't when our troops almost didn't get paid. It wasn't when moms and infants were at risk of losing the food off their table. It wasn't when flights across the nation got canceled because air traffic controllers and TSA agents didn't get paid. No. When that happened, Democrats said, every day gets better for them. Really? Maybe because they're getting paid while the people who they represent are not. That's what they said. They said pain for the American people was their best leverage. They said maybe it was uncomfortable, but it was worth it to them. Really? Think about that. Let that settle in. Let that just sit for a minute. So now I ask, will it be enough pain this weekend when 42 million Americans lose access to food on their table? Will it be enough when 2 million Americans miss a paycheck? What Democrats are doing right now is absolutely cruel, but it's also dangerous. And I think Chairman Mast spoke very well on this issue, but let's build on that. When our skies aren't staffed, when our borders aren't secure, and when our troops are at risk of missing a paycheck, that is not a political strategy. That is a national security threat. Enough is enough. Americans do not want to be used as leverage. And they don't want to be used as leverage for another $1 trillion of wasteful spending. They work way too hard for their paychecks. They want relief, they want leadership, and they want results. Democrats, please, I implore you, do what's right. Democrats, do what's right. End the shutdown. End the suffering for the American people. Stop, as you say, leveraging the pain. Vote for the Clean CR funding bill and let America move forward. Thank you.
All right, questions? Manu, go ahead.
Given how dire that you expressed for so many Americans right now, how do you justify the administration giving this big, massive bailout to Argentina, as well as calling for an increase in beef imports from Argentina?
Look, we give foreign policy, the execution of foreign policy to the executive branch. That's what the president is doing right now. There's lots of nuances about that. He's involved in negotiating trade agreements around the country to the great success and benefit of the American people right now. Dozens of them being worked out. He's overseas right now doing the same thing. And what he accomplished in Japan is a remarkable thing for the American people. And by the way, they've agreed to invest $550 billion into America, and that's good for everyone. So I can't get into the nuances of every single trade agreement with every country around the world, but we're going to trust the president to do what he's doing. He's had a remarkable track record of success for the American people, and nobody in this room can refute it. So I'm going to leave it right there. Chad, let's talk about the government shutdown. It's the main important thing right here. Chad, go ahead.
Good morning. Can you talk about some of the members in your conference who have expressed concern about the House being out, or saying that this has gone on too long, we need to maybe have another CR or take another approach or do something on health care?
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that is like and some of the things that you're hearing from your members who are saying, this is really going on?
Well, you all know what I'm hearing from my members because our calls are leaked every week, and we had a conference call with almost everyone yesterday. By our count, there's about 3 to 4 members of the House Republican Conference who have only mildly questioned working in the districts as opposed to being here on the floor. And we talked through that in as much detail as we can on a call that I know is being printed on the front page of all the papers the next morning. But I can tell you that 99% of all the Republicans in the Senate and the House heartily agree with what we are doing. They understand the most important thing and the most important function and the basic and most simple thing that government must do is keep its operation going for the people. That is the first job of Congress. And when we can't do that, everything is paralyzed. And so we have made that the number one emphasis. We need the Senate Democrats to do what they have always done in the past. Don't make me tell you all the facts again. 13 times during the Biden administration alone, they voted on CRs to keep the government going. They know the pain they're inflicting. They do not care because they're more afraid of the radical left Marxists in the base than they are the American people. That's plain and simple. And so it's painful for them, for us to get up here every single day and relate again the simple truths. We have to do that. The repetition is what makes the truth saturate, because most of the mainstream media is giving us headwinds. They're pushing back, as I just demonstrated from you from the results. The research proves what we know intuitively, that the mainstream media, most of the legacy media, is parroting the talking points to the other side. You are not asking Chuck Schumer the hard questions. You're not asking Hakeem Jeffries the hard questions. Not enough of them. They're hiding. And they think that they can appease the radical base because they're more afraid of the voices of the far left corner of their party than they are everybody else. And I think there's going to be a big price to pay for that in the future. Yes, sir. Right here.
Religion News Service has tracked 5 different instances in the last few weeks. DHS or ICE agents apparently, or the Swedish support, shooting Christian clergy with pepper bullets, pepper rounds, and rubber bullets. There was viral video of a Presbyterian minister being hit in the head with pepper rounds, and just last week a UCC minister was shot directly in the face with a pepper round by a DHS agent that left his face bloody. I know that you've advocated for religious freedom in the past and celebrate the president's decision to pardon anti-abortion demonstrators. Do you share the concern of these clergy? This is a religious freedom issue that's emerging between the administration and the clergy.
I can't comment on any of those instances. I haven't seen or heard any of those videos, so I'm not going to comment. But I would say, hold on, wait a minute. Let me answer you. Hold on. Thank you. You asked the question. Religious freedom does not extend and give you the right to get in the face of an ICE officer and assault them, if indeed that was what happened there. What I've seen is a measured approach by the people who are trying to enforce our border laws, our immigration laws. And that was desperately needed and desired and demanded by the American people. You might remember the number one issue in the November election last year was the wide open border and the chaos that has ensued by that. So the people are out doing a very difficult job. ICE officers, by the way, are under tremendous strain and pressure. How would you like to do that job if you had to put on the badge and do it? When you know you have the media criticizing every move and you have wild protesters in your face, cursing at you, waving their finger in your face, and sometimes pushing you and assaulting you. Okay? It's a dangerous, risky job. Thank the Lord that there are people who are willing to do that difficult job, to put on the badge and show that kind of courage. We should be on the side of law enforcement. And anybody who's trying to disrupt those operations, they need to be handled the right way. Now, look, all of us want the law to be enforced. We are the rule of law party. Chaos is not an American virtue. The rule of law, but you have to have order and you have to have peace and you have to have some people who are brave enough to put on the uniform and go ensure that. So get out of their face and let them do their job. That's what I would say. Down here, yes, ma'am.
Speaker, we're getting closer to the November 21st deadline for the CR that you guys passed. We're almost 3 weeks away from that. Is it time to bring the House back to pass a new CR with a new date? Is fewer than 3 weeks enough time to finish appropriations?
Wouldn't that be a futile exercise when we have a CR that's been sitting over there since September 19th? If I brought the House back and we passed another CR, it would meet the exact same fate with Chuck Schumer. He would mock it, they would spike it, and they would try to blame it on us. So what would be the point of that? We're all concerned about the timing. The Democrats are eating up the clock. We have very important work to do here, and that's why we're pleading with them, not Chuck Schumer. Look, I think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are irredeemable at this point. I don't think they'll be able to tell Mondami in New York and his disciples that they voted to open the government. I've given up on the leadership. So we're trying to appeal to a handful of moderates or centrists who care more about the American people and will put the people's interests over their own and do the right thing in the Senate. I mean, there's no point in me sitting down with Chuck Schumer. He's painted himself into a corner. I get all that. Mondami it looks like he's going to win and be the mayor of New York City, and Hakeem Jeffries came out and endorsed him. That's all you need to know. Hakeem Jeffries is terrified that Mondami, one of his disciples, is going to challenge him in his own seat in the election next fall. You've already seen that rumored. Some of you have reported on it. So he had to do it. He had to endorse socialism. He had to endorse Marxism. this dangerous ideology that has taken over the Democrat Party. That is what is motivating them. So it doesn't matter what we do in the House. It doesn't matter what we pass. We have to get a handful of moderates over there who care about America to do the right thing. We need at least 7 Democrats. It takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass it. This is not the Republicans. This fault is squarely on the shoulders of the Democrats, and they're the ones causing you the pain, and don't ever let them forget it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Jane Monreal, just wrapping up today's press conference from the House GOP leadership on the federal government shutdown. All right, here in the Carolinas, we've been dealing with some wet, gloomy weather, but of course, we need the rain. Our majestic storm covering weather this morning. We're going to put 2 reports together here. One is our local weather, and then some of the coverage on Hurricane Melissa out towards Jamaica and making second landfall towards Cuba. So this is Majestic Storms weather reports from earlier here on the stream. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Today is just another gloomy one all across the area. Not everyone has rain currently falling, but right here in Blowing Rock, you really can just tell it's just a cold scene. You can see the area roadways are wet there, very overcast conditions. I have seen a few people out there walking, but they do have their rain jacket on, and you'll probably want that today, especially if you're up in the mountains, because the mountain locations really will be where we will get the most amount of rain, mainly areas west of I-77. Here's Monroe, where we also have some rain coming down, some light spotty rain showers. But remember, as we head towards the afternoon, but especially tonight, that's when more of the widespread rain starts to move in. Current temperatures, we're mainly into the 30s, 40s, and some low 50-degree temperatures there in Cheraw, 47 in Rock Hill, but we all have cloudy conditions in place because this area of low pressure right here just to the west of us. This is the thing, as we head into the next few hours, maybe you're somebody who likes to wake up, you like to go get your steps in early in the morning. You could still encounter some mist and drizzle. You sometimes have a hard time picking that up when you look at satellite and radar here, and that more impactful rain really is not going to move in for several more hours. Here's another live camera look. You can tell it's just kind of a cold but cloudy, beautiful fall day when you're seeing those beautiful colors there on the trees. This is out there in Boone at App State. But again, if you're looking for the sunshine, you're not getting it today. Rather, you'll get more cloud coverage and even more rain showers moving in as we progress throughout the afternoon. So here's our futurecast. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, areas west of I-77, you have rain coming down. Pausing time again around 7 o'clock, around dinner time or just after. This is when we start to get more impactful rain, even areas east of I-77, and we could even see brief heavy downpours. I don't think we'll have any storms, no severe weather, that's for sure, just kind of more of that inconvenient weather. So especially on your commute home from work tonight, make sure you're just driving for the conditions, as it'll likely be rainy, especially west of I-77. Waking up Thursday morning, here's 7 o'clock. By this point, a lot of us will actually get some sunshine. However, if you're north of Charlotte, that's where we're still going to be holding on to a little bit of cloud coverage, maybe an isolated shower or two. But then as we head throughout the afternoon, Thursday's kind of our transition day because we'll have a mix of sun and clouds, generally much better than what we have seen over the last few days. And then Friday looks fantastic. Sunny skies from sunrise to sunset. So yes, sunshine's on the way. We'll start to see that tomorrow. And then Halloween is going to be very nice. Temperatures into the 60s. It's going to be gorgeous, but Halloween night and Saturday morning gets very cool. We're looking at 54 for our high temperature today. Yesterday we topped off at 52, so a couple of degrees warmer. Probably won't be able to notice a whole lot though. 53 in Chester, 42 in Boone today, and over the next 10 days, temperatures will get much warmer compared to where we'll top off today. Again, 54 today, nearly 10 degrees warmer by tomorrow, and then that trend will continue. We'll settle settle into a very quiet weather pattern with not a whole lot of activity ahead. Now, Saturday morning, 39 degrees will be our low here in Charlotte. That means if you're in the mountains, it's going to get even cooler. So be mindful. If you have any sensitive plants, frost may become an issue again. And again, with that, it's going to be very clear, really allowing those temperatures to cool off nicely. We'll say goodbye to the cloud coverage and goodbye to the rain. But remember, today is going to be our last rainy day, anywhere from about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch for most of us. But up towards the high country, that's where we do have those higher rain totals. If you have any plans for your Halloween, it's going to be beautiful. 64 for your high, sunny skies. Maybe you're having a Halloween party. Maybe you want to have a bonfire. Maybe you're just taking the kids trick-or-treating. Now, throughout the day, it's going to be just fine. Of course, temperatures are going to start to drop by Saturday morning, waking up to upper 30s here in Charlotte. We'll see those temperatures rebound very nicely, though, back into the 60s, both Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday of next week, you can see it here in our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. It's going to be nearly 70 degrees, so a beautiful start to our work week. But don't forget, remember, Saturday night and into Sunday, it's that time of the year where we got to switch our clocks back. I want to give you an update because I just want to let you know this morning it officially made landfall in eastern Cuba for the second time at 3:10 a.m. with max sustained winds of 120 miles an hour. That's a strong Category 3 major hurricane. Now, we do have new information coming in. This is now our 8 a.m. advisory. So that was a Category 3 hurricane. Now it has dropped down to a Cat 2. Moving north-northeast at 14 miles an hour, so continuing to pick up some speed. Max sustained winds earlier were at 115. Now it's at 105. Still a very strong storm, though, continuing to move away from Cuba and now out towards the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. You can see the cone, the direction in which a storm is going to go. So a Cat 2 continuing to move just right here, impacting perhaps tonight the Bahamas. Again, could make a third landfall before this is all said and done. After the Bahamas, then we'll have to really be watching Bermuda. This takes us all the way into Thursday night and into Friday, still holding some strength right there. So really a very strong and devastating storm.
And that was our majestic storm covering weather as well as Hurricane Melissa. Right now, as you know, that with the government shutdown in effect for day 29, as we get closer to the weekend and a deal is not reached, then SNAP benefits are going to be threatened come November 1st. In South Carolina, they have activated what is called the One South Carolina Fund ahead of any potential freeze on SNAP benefits. Governor McMaster holding a press conference yesterday on what this means for South Carolinians. We'll play this in part for you as we come up on 11 o'clock now on WCNC Plus.
Is everybody happy with their spot? Can y'all see everybody all right? Well, y'all, thank you for coming out and welcome to the Emergency Management Division. Some of you have been here before. We have a number of people here that you've seen in other places. Senator Jeff Zell is here up from Clarendon and Sumter. Priscilla Elliott from Golden Harvest. Georgia Miarton from the Central Community Foundation. She's the president. Harvest Hope Food Bank, Aaron Rowe. Low Country Food Bank, President and CEO Nick Osborne, and I missed somebody in there. Also Tony Catone, Department of Social Services, Leon Lott, a State Guard Commander, also the Sheriff of Richland County, as all of you know. We're here to address the needs of the people of our state and their safety during this time of trial, when the food for a lot of people has been cut off by the dysfunction in Washington. We wish they could pass that resolution to just keep spending money like they have been for these kind of things, and debating other questions at other times, but they've chosen so far not to do that. So that means that for these types of things, we are once again left to ourselves, which we are prepared to meet, and it's a good thing. As y'all know from many times we've been at this podium in this building during emergencies, some terrible emergencies threatening death as well as destruction. South Carolina always pulls together. We've got a great team. We've worked together. It's a highly experienced team. It's a highly motivated team. And it's a team that cares very much about the people of South Carolina. The one fund is administered by the General Carolina Community Foundation located in Columbia. The fund was established, you'll remember, in 2015 following Hurricane Joaquin, when Governor Haley set it up and asked the South Carolina, it to serve as South Carolina's coordinated philanthropic response to disasters such as this one, as well as hurricanes, other storms, and fires. The 1SC fund has been activated in hurricanes Matthew, Florence, Helene, as well as COVID, as you remember. 99%, that is 99% of every dollar donated to the 1SC fund is granted to nonprofits, that is charities that provide local assistance in South Carolina. The remaining 1% goes for outreach and study and research and reporting and administration and the oversight of grant contracts. The Central Carolina Community Foundation has activated the 1SC fund to provide emergency monetary support, that is money, funds, to food banks and local feeding partners statewide during the suspension of the SNAP program. We don't know how long that's going to be. We'll address that in a few minutes about how quickly we can respond. Now again, this is for money, for checks, for contributions to charities, and we're asking you to do this. This money that goes to the 1SC fund will go directly to the food banks that we have that have been established for years all over South Carolina. We have a presence of food banks in every single county. All of this can be found online. We have 900 food banks and food pantries in the state, and they're broken up into 4 regional groups. The Golden Harvest Food Bank, the Harvest Hope Food Bank, the Low Country Food Bank, and the Second Harvest Food Bank of Metro Lima. Also, the second part of the effort is I've asked the State Guard to participate. The State Guard has men and women all around our state that can respond to disasters, that can help in a variety of ways, and they will be there to assist in whatever way they can at these locations during this time. So we really do have a great team. And what we're asking is, we know people give regularly, some very generously, to charities, food banks, all these various charities all over the state. We want to encourage you to keep doing that. But this money that comes into 1SC fund will be used only for this effort and having the food and other supplies and things that are available at these food banks all over the state. All this can be found online, and we'll have questions in a little while. Georgia?
Thank you. Governor, thank you for calling on us at Central Carolina Community Foundation to activate the 1SC fund, which, as you said, was created in partnership with the governor's office 10 years ago. I do want to say very clearly that South Carolinians know how to help their neighbors in times of crisis. Most recently, we saw that with Hurricane Helene. That was the largest activation of the 1SC fund. As context, that raised over $6 million. I want to say that today because we need people to step up and give in ways that they have never given before. We need our corporate partners and other foundations, philanthropy, to come together in a unified way to make sure that 550,000 people in this state who will not have access to their food benefits on November 1st have the food resources they need when they turn to their local food pantries and food ministries and food banks. As you said, Governor, there is a network of hundreds upon hundreds of people who show up every day to volunteer, to serve, to bring food donations, food products, but our food banks are short of the food resources that they need right now, and that's where the 1SC Fund comes into play. We are here to raise those dollars and make grants as quickly as possible. Every dollar that comes into the 1SC Fund, as you said, 99% will go right back out into local nonprofits here in South Carolina, including the large food distribution centers that you see their leaders standing here with us today. The 1SC Fund starts at zero. We don't have a reserve of dollars waiting to be deployed. Today, we are opening this fund so that you can give. We're opening it because the need is great, and we urge you to go to 1SC, make a cash contribution, mail in a check, give by credit card, or contact us if you'd like to make a gift in another way. We appreciate you, Governor, Team SC. We're so grateful for the nonprofits working day in and day out to meet needs, not only in times of crisis like this, but year-round. Thank you to our food banks, and thank you to the volunteers, the givers, the philanthropists in our community who step up every day and in times of crisis like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. And I'd like to note one thing. Usually when we're here with these meetings and briefings, we are speaking about a disaster that we know is going to come. Well, this is a disaster that may come, but this is a disaster unlike the others that we can avoid. And we can do that by doing what we are prepared to do, and that's all the citizens working together to help those who need the help, who need food. Thank you. And Erin Rowe, Harvest Hope Food Bank.
Thank you. My name is Erin Rowe. I'm the CEO of Harvest Hope Food Bank. We are the largest food bank in South Carolina, covering a 20-county footprint from the upstate all the way down to that PD corridor. Thank you so much, Governor McMasters, for hosting today. When I think about what we're about to approach and face, I am going back to Hurricane Helene, because that was a great testament of people coming together. South Carolinians do take care of each other, and that's what we're calling on right now. A lot of times the perception is food banks are funded by the state. We actually don't get funding from the state. We are 100% philanthropically driven, so we can only provide the food that is given to us and the support that is given to us. When we're looking at the shutdown, we are actually at a critically low food point right now. That typically happens this time of year, going into winter months, going into the holidays. So our shelves are pretty bare across all three of my warehouses in Greenville, Florence, and Columbia. So we are actively looking for food resources. To purchase food is a 2 to 3 week lead time to get that tractor trailers of food into our facilities. So I just want everybody to understand this isn't a light switch I can flip on tomorrow and fill up all three of my warehouses. To address the 550,000 people that are going to be needing assistance in about a week's time. So we do ask that everybody comes together and that we do take care of our neighbors. This is a moment for us to step up because people need to eat. So I appreciate you hosting this today, and I'm looking forward to us working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin Rowe. Nick Osborne, Low Country Food Bank.
Thank you very much indeed, Governor McMaster. And everyone who's here today to support our neighbours who unfortunately are facing hunger here in South Carolina. My name's Nick Osborne. I'm the President and CEO at the Low Country Food Bank. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Feeding the Carolinas Association, which is a dual state association representing.
As South Carolina prepares for a potential freeze in SNAP benefits this weekend, SC One Fund is being activated. We are coming up on 11 o'clock with Charlotte Today up next. Have a great day.